Hi everyone, it's Josh here from HitFilm.com. Obviously today's all about HitFilm Pro being released, a great new version, but for a moment I'm just going to focus on Action Pro, which is another piece of software in the HitFilm studio. Action Pro is just beta software and we're going to develop it with you guys to make the best software possible. But what it's all about is allowing you to make animations in a way that's more intuitive than keyframes and graphs. It's just recording movements that you make on your trackpad, on your mouse, or with devices like the Leap Motion and in the future VR, and giving you a way to visualize those, manipulate them, and then transfer them to products like HitFilm, and then in the future After Effects and other 3D software. So I'm inside Action Pro now, and this little red dot that's following my mouse but in the view is what we're going to record. Recording is as simple as just pressing the R button. So I'm going to click the R key and try and record something very organic looking. Here we go. It does have a little trail behind what I'm recording. As you can see, these swirls would be probably quite hard to replicate with keyframing, but it's a nice organic movement. And now let's stop. Now it's put that recording into my assets. Where do I go from here? Well, I want to visualize it before I export it. I simply go to New, and this creates a new animation. If I double click on this, it opens it up over here in the timeline. Very familiar, loads more tools coming in the future. If I then go to the recording and click this button, it's going to insert it onto the timeline, and suddenly we'll see what we recorded. Now this is all well and good. I mean, it looks like what we recorded, it's all nice and smooth and organic, but it's flat, like a mouse. It's in 2 dimensions. But we can see here on the timeline, we've actually got 3 dimensions to play with. So let's go to the Z, the depth, where we don't have any information, and let's move that from being our recording Z to our recording X. Now this could be a completely separate recording you're putting on here of a completely different movement, but just to be quick, I'm going to just use what we've already got. Now that X is making us go horizontal because we're using the X somewhere else as well. What we can do is we can invert that movement just to give some variety. So I'll click on it and then down here say reverse time. Now our movement is kind of going all over the place, but we have these sort of micro jitters which come from different sources and the way that they record, and we have a great way of getting rid of that. So we're just going to smooth this out on each of these individual layers to create a much more organic, smoother look to what we have. I think that's much better. We obviously have a little gizmo in here, so if I play back we can see the kind of speed that we're getting. It's a nice organic movement. If you were to attach a particle system to that, it could look really cool and magical. Again, really hard to do that with keyframing alone. So how do we get this out into HitFilm? That's what we all want to do, really. Well, it's this handy little HitFilm composite shot icon here, but first of all I've got to go into the settings. I'm just going to change the scale a bit. I'm going to change it so it's a little bit smaller. Otherwise it's going to actually export really large, because these are sort of in a 10-meter scale here. When you're using the Leap Motion, it's actually a native scale. VR is the same, but we have all sorts of settings in here so you can change the scale of things and get things working exactly how you want. Now all we need to do is click on the comp shot icon. I'm going to call it test, and it's exported all that data into HitFilm. Now we're going to work on all sorts of things in the future so that we can minimize the keyframe data that we're exporting, we can use Bezier curves, all that kind of thing. But we're in the beta and we want to work on what you guys want us to work on first. Now let's jump over to HitFilm. The lovely new HitFilm that is. Import a composite shot. It sees the comp shot that we just exported. Open it. It's given us a camera which is, although fixed to a certain aspect ratio, in the same position that we were in the other software. And there we have it. This is the path that we put together in the other software. All computed exactly the same, ready to use, to attach 3D models to attach particle systems to. It's a real time saver for creating those organic or complex animations that you can describe so easily in your head or with your body and your hands, but are much harder to visualize once you're using a graph. That's just a quick look at what you can do with Action Pro. We're going to be adding loads of features to this software, so please tell us what you want, get involved. We make these products for you and we're excited to hear what you think.